This morning, I had the opportunity to chat with Coleman Ayers, the man behind By Any Means Basketball, his basketball training company that now truly has a global reach. Over 270,000 subscribers on YouTube and 66,000 followers on Instagram at the time of recording. Coleman grew up in the DMV and played in one of the best high school conferences in the country. Well, the best high school conference, if you ask him. And he turned down Division II and Division III offers to attend the University of Miami, where he is now finishing his degree in exercise science. While driving to an AAU game, Coleman broke down some Steph Curry film and needed a place to save it, so he uploaded it to YouTube. And by accident, his attention to detail series was started. Someone who combines the art of video production with the science of breaking down the game of basketball, By Any Means Basketball is a must follow for every hooper out there. I really enjoyed our conversation and look forward to connecting more with Coleman in the future. Without further ado, here is a conversation with Coleman Ayers. So I am now joined with Coleman Ayers, the man behind By Any Means Basketball. Coleman, how are you today?
Good, man. How about you?
It's a little bit earlier than I'm used to over here, but I'm doing all right.
Yeah. What time is it over there?
It's 7:30, so to kind of prep was like
Okay,
6:30,
yeah.
6:45. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
Middle of the summer, I work in the golf industry,
Yeah.
so that's like 5:30 starts. So
Oh, yeah. No, that's a different level right there.
I think the first question I just wanted to ask was, what's a typical day in the life for you at the moment?
Yeah. So at the moment, it's weird because everyone's season is like up in the air. Nobody really knows what's going on. Players are in the city for a few weeks and then out of the city. So I kind of have to readjust my routine like every, not even weekly. Like I'll just try to schedule something in for Friday or Thursday, and it'll be completely thrown off. So it's weird right now. But I would say typically right now, wake up, get my own workout in just before the day starts, really, so I can have that out of the way. Uh, Typically work with somebody in the weight room at around 8 or 9 a.m. After that, I will probably work with someone else at an outdoor court, which is unfortunate, but it's Miami, so solid weather. We'll get in regardless. Uh, and then I'll have probably 2 sessions or on those outdoor courts. In between, then I'll just block out some time to study or to make videos or really, really just perfect my craft even more. So that's probably leads me up until 2, 3 p.m. Then I'll generally work with a team in the weight room. Have another session after that, like a group session on the court at a gym. That'll lead me up to normally around anywhere from 9 to 10 p.m. And then go to sleep, do it all over again. So it's definitely been weird. It's been thrown off over and over again, which is annoying for a guy like me who likes his routine. But
Yeah.
It's kind of fun having to readjust to everything and improvise and figure out new stuff. It's been a kind of interesting process, and a blessing in disguise for sure.
No, absolutely. And I think it's one of those things that you're busy, but because it's just like something that you love doing and different aspects of it, I'm assuming it doesn't really get boring at any points.
Right. No, definitely doesn't. Every session, I approach it with the same intensity and the same fire as I would the first session of the week, because it's fun. It's what I like doing. And that motivation really never fades away because of that.
One thing that it stood out to me when I started watching your content, especially when I saw some of the stuff that more kind of the long form of you teaching, was just your ability to communicate. Is that something that kind of came naturally to you, or is that to intentionally work on?
I think a little bit of both. I've always been someone who never really wanted to speak out in class when I was younger. I've never considered myself a natural teacher, But once I started to teach basketball, which is obviously what I love to do, that's what came a little bit more naturally, which is why I stress the players, people in general all the time is like, find something you really love doing, because everything will kind of fill itself in after that. So I never really saw myself before I got into training as like, someone who could teach groups or speak out easily in front of groups. I never really had much of a problem with it, but it wasn't a strength of mine. And I've definitely worked on it, just watching other good speakers speak, which is one of the kind of common ways to, I don't know, become a better speaker. But definitely worked on it a little bit. It's still a work in progress many times, because I'm a perfectionist to a certain extent. And like, I'll find the time in a workout where I'll say something and I'll think about it for days and be like, damn, I should have said something different there because it's a better cue. Or I should have not said anything there because I was talking too much. So it's almost fun because I'm treating it like how I would work on my game in basketball, or I would train a player. But it does come naturally to a certain extent, just because I love what I'm doing. I'm passionate about what I'm doing. And I feel like when you know what you're talking about, it's a lot easier to convey, and I'm confident in the stuff that I'm saying, which makes it that much easier to convey that to players in the right way.
No, I was just about to say the obviously liking it is good, but then the fact when you have competence adds confidence to your words.
100%.
It's
tough to kind of speak about stuff that you're like shaky on, you're not really 100% sure about, but once you know that this is like, these are your beliefs, even if there's something that's like some trainers may teach differently, if I believe in this, then I'm going to teach it with 100% confidence, and it makes it easier.
As a young coach, was there like a specific moment that you can look back to as like your training, maybe it was a Division I guy or like a university guy or a pro, that it finally kind of sunk home with you that you're like, I feel comfortable and confident doing this?
That's a very good question. I don't think there was a specific time. I'm trying to think if there was, because there's definitely been times where I'll leave a workout, probably in a year or two ago, and I've been like, damn, like I'm not too bad at this. But then there's also been times where I'll leave a workout and be like, damn, like I definitely, like I was saying, I'm a perfectionist. So even if I do communicate well and everything, I'm gonna look at the little things. But I think it was more of a process. I kind of got thrown into the fire a little bit just because, I'm young. So it was something I just had to figure out, preparation on, how to talk to athletes. I just kind of figured it out myself. And then that, at the same time, so I was kind of being thrown into the fire, just working with guys, figuring stuff out, simultaneously reading books about it, watching videos on how to speak better, how to communicate better, how to cue athletes better. So that process where those two were kind of intertwined, work together very well. And it's something I'm still doing. Like, I'm still trying to figure out every day how every workout that I come from, how I could do better, how I could try something new in terms of how I'm communicating, and apply everything that I learned into the next workout. And it's kind of cool. But I do think that there are milestones that I'll hit where I'm like the ease of communication was a little bit better on in this workout than it was, a couple months ago. I don't think there are any individual times that I can recall right now, but there definitely were some. If I went really far back in the memory bank, there definitely were some.
And you're not just a student of like the game of basketball. You're legitimately still a student, correct?
Yeah.
So being a student and loving learning, one of the things that I know myself as a coach these last number of years is I've changed a lot about my own philosophy and my own style, what I teach, because I find better or more effective ways of doing things. Is there anything that comes to mind, off the top of your head that you've changed over the last 6 months, a year, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, even this happened probably a week ago, less than a week ago. I've always been a big proponent of, and this is like a small detail. It's nothing crazy, but it just goes to show how often we should or we can and should change our philosophies. Like, I've always been a big proponent of like teaching players to come off tight on screens. And I posted about this on my Instagram, really tight off screens, just so the defender can't get through and they're trailing us. And it makes sense. And it's something I normally teach. That was until I started, and I knew there were some exceptions, but I didn't realize how many exceptions there were until I saw someone post like a TikTok video on Instagram where it was like a reel, and it was saying like basically we can't ever come off the screen tight. And that made me think, or we always have to come off the screen tight. Like it's a rule. We always got to do it. And that made me think like, damn, is this really a rule, or is it something that I should be teaching on a situational basis? So that was actually the same day that I was working on a Steve Nash video. So I was watching a ton of film on Steve Nash, and I was noticing that he let defenders through screens a lot, or he just didn't come tight to get a better angle. And I'm like, damn, like maybe I should expand my teachings on this to a more context-based, way of teaching it, because we don't always have to come tight off this screen. If a defender goes under the screen, if we teach players to come off tight every time, they're just going to meet them at the other side.
Yeah.
Or there's times where we can come off a screen, let the defender through, and then re-screen. So our teammate setting the screen will flip it. We go back around. That time we go tight, but like it's something that I definitely had to like, because I had videos out there saying like, yeah, it's very, very, it's a good skill to have to be able to come off that screen tight every time.
Yeah.
So that was like a switch that I had to make quick. And even this week I've been applying that, like, all right, read me. If I go under the screen, or if I'm really not engaging you, you don't need to come tight to the screen. But if I'm really pressuring you there, that's when you come off tight to the screen. So it's constant adjustments. Like you said, just being a lifelong learner and being humble enough, I guess, to understand when you're not fully right. And even if you're not wrong, that there's a better, way of thinking about something out there. And that's something that, everyone's got to work on, but I'm learning how huge it is, especially in basketball.
From the interviews and kind of what I've read of your story, in a lot of ways you're self-made. You moved from DC down to Miami kind of on your own. What is there someone or people in your life you kind of consider mentors, and like what role would they have played in your development as the young man you've become?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting because I've never really had an internship. I've never really worked under anybody, which is, I would be willing to do it. I always, wanted to do it when I was younger. I just never really got the opportunity. So it was really on myself to learn. But with that being said, I've taken a lot from a ton of people who are smarter than me. So like even going back to my high school days, my coach and really the whole coaching staff was very, very, very knowledgeable about the game. Not only the game, but life. So teaching life lessons, how we can become successful on and off the court. So I picked up a very, very solid foundation, when I was 16 years old, just from them. That was 2-3 years of just very solid foundational work. And all of them are like, my head coach is now the head coach at IMG Academy, and a couple of them are college coaches now. Mm-hmm. One of them played in the Final Four, 15 years ago. So it was a very reputable coaching staff that I learned from. After that, that's when I was kind of on my own a little bit, and essentially down in Miami by myself. So I was like, all right, I got to make something work. At that point, I was like, all right, if I'm not learning from anyone in person, then I'm going to have to make up for that with experience and learning by myself. So that's just a ton of film. All the videos that I made on YouTube are literally just me watching film and putting them together in a video for other people to see. That's why, like, when people call me a YouTuber or whatever, I'm not a YouTuber. I'm a trainer. I'm a coach who enjoys watching a shit ton of film and then just putting it together in an aesthetically pleasing way for everyone else to see. So all those videos were, each video is probably 8 to 10 hours of film that I watched on it, and also in a contextual way where I'm looking at certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So I write all that stuff down. All the stuff that I've learned from those. And then from there, it's just, I've talked to a ton of other trainers, like I said, who are smarter than me, who started way before me. So I've learned from a lot of guys just who I've connected with through social media. Mm-hmm. Social media is a great place. So I had conversations with a lot of smart people, and I think experience and early experience has probably been my saving grace in terms of not having a chance to learn from someone who's really at the top. But at this point, I feel like I can go into a gym and be even with anyone. I'm not really, obviously I try to learn from everyone I meet with, even if it's someone who doesn't have the same amount of following as I do, whatever. That doesn't mean anything in the long term. But I feel like I can go in any gym and teach some people about the game, but also learn about the game, which is kind of a cool place to be at, because I feel like I can have these synergistic conversations and interactions with even, obviously NBA guys, top trainers, top coaches, which is pretty cool. But obviously lifelong learner. So learning is paramount in terms of my interactions with most trainers, just because I like to pick up everything I can.
Yeah. And now you're at the point where you're going to be having to hire interns during the summer.
Yeah, that's like, it really never hit me until I posted something on my Instagram. I posted something on my story. I can't remember what led me to it, but a couple people started asking, like, "Are you looking for interns?" And I was like, "Me looking for interns? Like, what?" It didn't seem right, and I was like, "I guess it's the time." All right, cool. Yeah, no, it's that time where I guess people want to learn from me, which is cool. But regardless, I'll still continue to learn from everyone that I can, because I don't want to stop learning at 21 years old. I want to be learning until I'm 85, 90 years old and really be like the embodiment of a lifelong learner.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to let you go. I got one kind of question to put you on the spot here. If you had to, I was thinking about roster construction of, I guess, let's say a starting five. If you have to construct your perfect starting five in the NBA currently, off the top of your head, who would it be?
Chris Paul. Definitely want him. LeBron. Those are my two that I definitely want. I'll go with a player like Bradley Beal.
Okay.
Unproblematic. He'll play his role. In terms of, I'm more of a small ball type of guy. So I'll go with KD. He can play hybrid big, I guess. And then Anthony Davis.
Yeah,
so I would say CP3, Bradley Beal, KD. I'm missing anyone, Anthony Davis.
LeBron.
So I feel like nobody's beating that team. Yeah, of course.
And I think you have the right. I think you have the right combination of egos and play style to also that they'll actually play basketball together.
That's too. Something that, like, people always pick like the top 5 players in the NBA, and I'm like, I don't know how that's gonna work, man. Like, you got to consider how they're gonna be working together, because we've seen that far too many times that players just don't work out. But no, that's definitely a big consideration in that starting 5.
Well, I'm going to let you go. You got a busy day ahead of you. I appreciate you taking some time.
For sure. Appreciate you, man.
And hopefully we'll be able to do this again. And maybe I'll be able to hop down to Florida or DC at some point and connect in person.
Definitely. For sure. We'll stay in touch. Keep connecting. Appreciate you.
Have a good day.
Thanks for the opportunity.